everyone, and welcome to the Princess Eternity Talk Show. I am your host, Eternity, and today we are going to be doing another ranking video, but this time we are going to be diving into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, okay? I have been a Marvel fan since I can remember. I believe the first movie that I ever watched was the Marvel's Avengers Assemble. That one, I remember I was like in grade 6 when it came out. It was super huge. And ever since, I have been a huge Marvel fan. Although Marvel has kind of, gone downhill in the last couple of years, it definitely has its place when it comes to creating some of the most imaginative and amazing superhero movies that have ever hit the screen in the 21st century, okay? And am also a big DC fan as well, so I definitely feel like I should do a video about DC, but I really wanted to do one for Marvel because I have watched every movie at least more than 5 times. So I'm pretty well versed when it comes to it. And I also used to read the comics and I still like to do so from time to time. So I really do enjoy the Marvel world. So before we get into it, as you guys know, you guys can take your time to look at my TikTok here and follow for more content when it comes to the things that I'm creating. As you guys might know now, I am a multi-passionate creator, so I like to sing, I like to dance, I like to write, and I post all of that stuff. All of the links will be in the bio, in the description below. But we are going to get started on ranking these movies. So kind of like what we did in the previous video, I'm going to go over all of the movies, talk about the things that I liked, the things that I didn't like, why I believe that this movie is great or not, and then give it a score out of 10. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so the first movie that we are going to be discussing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we're going to be looking at the Iron Man movie. So the first one, the second one, and the third one. I really feel like the three movies in general, the three Iron Man movies, are pretty solid. I think that Iron Man is probably one of the best superhero characters shown on screen. I think Robert Downey Jr. was the perfect person to play this. I mean, there is nobody else that I would have wanted. I mean, he is a phenomenal actor. I will forever, ever remember him as Tony Stark. Iron Man is one of my favorite superheroes. And again, like I said, the three movies were pretty solid. I would definitely say the first one was, especially for at the time that it came out, I think it was a really solid, like I would say 10 out of 10. Like the first Iron Man movie, in my opinion, was like perfect. I think that the way they introduced the character, like he really solidified the role. Like he sold it. And especially since he was kind of like the entrance point to introducing all of these other big superhero characters. I think that he was the perfect person to start the journey. I mean, he's the one who started the first Iron Man movie. Like that was a big deal, especially at the time that generally speaking, I think the first Iron Man was a really, again, solid superhero movie, and it definitely was a really great movie to start off the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it was a really solid superhero movies. Again, sometimes superhero movies can feel a little bit gimmicky, but I think that the way that they did the Iron Man movies, the first one, the second one, and the third one, were really well done. As him, like, I mean, he carried that franchise, generally speaking. I think if it was a different actor, maybe not, but we're not even gonna think about it because who else would have played Iron Man besides Robert Downey Jr.? Like, duh. Iron Man 2, I think, was also a really great, solid movie. So this one was after him exposing his identity, being like, yes, I am Iron Man, and kind of dealing with the consequences of that. It was a really great way to continue expanding his character and getting to know him more. I think he's one of those superheroes where you can make a lot of movies about him and they can be really good on their own, because I feel like he's a really complex character. He has a lot of layers to him, a lot of experiences to him. And I think that, again, as a very solid superhero that's very multidimensional, I think the second movie was also pretty well done. Again, that one I'm going to rate a little bit lower. I'm going to rate it a 9 out of 10, just because, again, for me, I am biased towards the first one. I think that was, I don't know, like to me, that one just stands out so much. I mean, like the beginning of Iron Man, where like he created the suit in the cave, like that was like really like solidifying like this man is a hero. Like it was literally poetic justice in a sense of like that was his superhero journey. Now we're seeing it unfold, and it's starting to bloom and blossom, but then also experiencing, the downsides of being a hero. But again, the second one was also pretty solid. I love the race car fight scene. That suit up scene was probably um, one of the best scenes in one of the best suit up scenes I think that he's had. So I definitely would give that one a 9 out of 10. So the third Iron Man takes place after what happened in New York with Marvel, with the Avengers assembling. We're going to talk about that. When it comes to the third one, again, a lot of great cinematic moments. I would probably give it the same rating as the second one as well. I definitely think that it was, again, I think they really did a good job. One thing that I really liked was mentioning Tony's PTSD and his behavior when it comes to the aftermath of what happened, which was an alien invasion. And I really liked how they spoke about that piece, because I think sometimes, when alien invasions or supernatural stuff happen, they tend to negate the fact that like you can be traumatized and scarred from those situations. I mean, he went to space and if you've seen the movies, like he went into space and, he experienced that trauma. He had PTSD. And I really liked how they addressed that in the third movie, because I think it would be kind of dumb to neglect that. I mean, at the end of the day, even if he has this metal armor, he is a human being. And if you went to space and blew up some kind of alien spaceship and almost die, no shit, you're going to have PTSD. And I'm glad that they did not skim over that. And I think that's what made the movie even a really great tight ending to that trilogy of the Iron Man movie. I think that he's one of those characters as well that knows how to do humor and it doesn't feel forced or overdone. Like no one can kind of hit those punchlines like him. Like he's really good at delivering those quick witty lines, and I think that it takes a special skill to be funny like that, because it's not forced. It's very just like natural, and I really like that about him. Again, I don't think a lot of people can do that, so I think he was great. I mean, he was super fine in the Iron Man movie, especially the first one. Whoo! And that was his redemption movie as well. So honestly, I am just very biased. I'm a big fan. Love the movies, all three of them. So generally speaking, 9.5/10. I'm a big Iron Man fan. What can I say? So next we are going to talk about The Incredible Hulk. So the very first Hulk movie, I believe that came out. So that one came out in 2008. So we had the different actor. What was his name? Edward Norton, right? Edward Norton? Yeah. So he was the actor that was playing in it. Honestly, I really did like The Incredible Hulk. I'm also a big Hulk fan. I love nothing more than just a superhero that is big and strong and can smash stuff. That is him. And honestly, as a Hulk fan, watching the slow downfall of one of my favorite heroes is really sad. I mean, The Incredible Hulk, that Hulk version would have done a number on Thanos. 2008 Hulk would have definitely put up a fight. Maybe he would have lost, maybe, but honestly, I think it was really well done. I really like the fact that, again, it's the movie itself. For me, the reason why I like it is just simply because the Hulk felt like a Hulk. He's this big monster, The fight scene with the Abomination is probably one of the most iconic fight scenes ever. I mean, again, to see the downfall of these two amazing characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and watching them, be kind of dumbified and made to look friendly when they're supposed to look scary and terrifying is honestly disheartening, because it's no, I love a good monster on monster type of action, okay? And I feel the Hulk, I don't know what it is, but I just love a good Hulk fight scene. I am a big fan of fight scenes. For me, it really does make or break the movie. If the movie has horrible fight scene choreography, I'm not here for it. When he's on the scene, when he is there and he's pulling up in the Sri Lanka and he's ready to tear these aliens a new one, it's gonna be a good fight. And I feel the Incredible Hulk kind of gave that energy of as soon as you saw him on the screen as Hulk, you knew it was gonna be a good fight scene. And I feel Edward Norton, even though he only did it for that one movie, I think he did a really good job. I actually also like Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. I think, again, the character was good in the other movies. I think once it went to Endgame, that's when it went downhill. But other than that, I think that the performance was really done well. Again, I think that was probably that was the most solid Hulk movie. We needed that in Endgame. And in Infinity Wars, we needed that. We needed the Incredible Hulk, and we did not. And we did not get it. But we're going to get into all the thoughts about Infinity War soon, okay? Okay, next we're going to talk about the Thor series, okay? I'm also a big Thor fan, and honestly, I love Chris Hemsworth. Huge fan. I think that he was the perfect person to play Thor as well. I mean, he's just very handsome. I mean, Thor is daddy, okay? I'm not even going to sit here and lie. Thor is daddy, okay? Now, it's funny that I say this because generally speaking, the Thor movies were never really my favorite movies overall in the franchise, but I feel like him as a character in his standalone movies, they didn't really like stick out compared to the other ones, but I feel like when he was on screen with like the other heroes, I feel like that's where he stood out, at least for me. First Thor movie, when he comes to Earth and he has to deal with the consequences of being sent to Midgard, and he is stepping into humanity and all that stuff. Like, again, it's a really great way to expose him, kind of blending in and starting to meet humans and forming the Avengers, like good standalone movies. But the second Thor and the third Thor are kind of forgettable. I watched them, I think maybe 2 or 3 times, but they're kind of the movies where I never really like if I wanted to do a rerun of like Marvel movies, like if sometimes there's movies that I would like to rewatch just for comfort, unfortunately they just didn't make the list. Again, sometimes I would rewatch every movie from start to finish, so of course I wanted to rewatch those ones because they fit into the timeline, but it was never on my top 5 or list. Everything structurally was really well done, but I think plot wise, I think it just fell a little bit short, so that's why I'm going to give it I'm going to give both of them, I'm going to give like a 7.58. But if we were talking about Thor Ragnarok, okay, that one is my favorite Thor movie, and it is also probably one of my favorite Marvel movies, definitely top 5 for sure. It was the perfect balance of humor and the superhero-ness of Thor, and I think giving him that makeover was definitely what needed to happen, because that movie, chef's kiss. I think that's probably the one that I've rewatched the most. Again, I just felt like it was a really good blend of comedy and, again, that sense of superhero-ness leading up to, again, Infinity Wars. I don't think I saw that movie in theater. I don't remember, but I do remember watching, I've rewatched that movie a lot, okay? And maybe I'm biased because, again, I do love Chris Hemsworth, but I think it's just it was just a funny movie. Tom Hiddleston also played really well with Loki. I like their banter. I like their relationship. I love seeing Tessa Thomas. She was playing Valkyrie. I thought she was perfect for that. We got to see the reappearance of Hulk, and he was more verbal than ever. And I just thought that it was a really good blend of humor, but you could tell I don't know. I loved the funny bits of it. I loved the fight scene between Thor and Hulk. I thought that was a really good rendition of what was happening, what happened in the first one where they were all together, where they had that fight scene in the building and everything was falling apart because of what Loki did. And I felt like it was a really good, because we didn't really get to see them tussle. So it was nice to get an option to see them tussle. I thought the whole idea of, going to that side of the universe and going on this crazy adventure, I thought he did a really good job. I thought it was really hilarious. I thought everybody was feeding off of each other. I thought it was really good. Honestly, it is one of my favorite Marvel movies. I'm biased. 10 out of 10. I loved Thor Ragnarok. Now, Thor Love and Thunder. That one was ass. Oh my god. Just as I was falling in love with the Thor movies, here comes Lord and Thunder. That one was not good, okay? And again, I love Chris Hemsworth, but the performance was weak, okay? That one, definitely a 3 out of 10. Probably one of the worst Marvel movies that there was ever created. It made no goddamn sense whatsoever. It was all over the place. It felt like they were trying to recreate that same energy from Thor Ragnarok, but it just didn't hit. It didn't hit the same. And I don't know. I think for me, it's like, especially with Thor, when you think about it, if like you read the comics, you know that him, generally speaking, he's a very serious guy. Like he takes his role as, the god of thunder very seriously, and I feel like they were able to keep that energy going in the first Thor, the second Thor, even the third Thor, when he was going through a lot of, he was going through that adventure, and even if they had that comedy element, and I love me some Kate Blanchett playing Hela. Like I dressed up as her for Halloween. I'm gonna put a picture here. Actually, I dressed up for her as Halloween last year. One of my favorite super villains in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Seriously, I would love to see her on screen again because she was perfect. She was amazing. Love, love, loved it. But yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't even remember who the super villain was. Like I think I watched that movie. I went to go see it in theater because I had high hopes considering Thor Ragnarok, and I was just very disappointed. I was disappointed in, like, I think that the idea would have been nice if it was done less, like, I think they're trying to make it more kooky and funny. I feel like if it was done with the same energy as like the old Thor movies, I think it would have been well. I think the plot itself just fell short because the performance was just lackluster. And I'm like, you can't put a bunch of great CGI. They had great visuals and all that stuff, but you can't use that to cover up the fact that the movie was ass. Like, it just didn't fit. I feel like, especially for me as someone who likes Greek mythology, I think they could have used that as an opportunity to really go in and expand more on that, because there's not a lot of like superhero Greek mythology movies out there. They could have really done it and really expanded that and kind of again set that, because with Marvel, like, they have these very detailed and very beautiful visuals, especially when it comes to a lot of their superhero movies, not just CGI, but like the way that things are flowing and constructed. And I feel like, again, Thor: Love and Thunder had those good visuals, but the plot just it didn't stick. It didn't cling on. I barely remember it. It just kind of felt stupid and gimmicky, and I'm like, what's going on? What happened? Endgame happened, and now all the energy is just gone. Like, I feel like after Endgame, it just went downhill from there, honestly. Anyway, Love and Thunder, yeah, it came out after, so it's kind of like, especially for him kind of being more of like the veteran hero, the veteran Avenger out of all these newer Avengers that were coming out in the multiverse saga. There was a lot of expectation for that sense of like, okay, well, there's these new heroes, but we still need, that sense of nostalgia. And again, it fell short. It fell short. And next, we're going to talk about the Captain America movies, okay? The Captain America movies were also a really solid franchise. I think all of the movies were done really well. I think that, again, Chris Evans, another great actor, I think he did really well playing the character. I think all of the movies definitely over 8 out of 10 for sure. I really liked the Winter Soldier the best. Winter Soldier is probably one of the best superhero movies made. I think like it was well done in a sense of like everything flowing together, like what was going on. It felt like I was like reading the comics. Like, there was like some of those movies that Marvel has created where it felt like they pulled it right out of the comics and put it on screen. And I feel like Winter Soldier was one of them. And then also Civil War. Civil War, definitely top 3 for sure. I thought that was done really well as well. I think all of the characters that they were introducing with and then blending them with, again, the veterans, the OG Avengers, I thought it was really well. I think the only thing that would have made it better is if they had Thor and Hulk. And I always try to think, like, what side would they be on? I definitely think that Thor would have been on Iron Man's side because, I mean, he is a god. Like, why would he want to sign an accord that prevents him from interfering with affairs that are putting people in danger? He would not want to, be in under the thumb of, authorities that have nothing to do with him when he doesn't even live on Earth. He's just coming in here, visiting, saving y'all from the aliens that seem to love to come to you. But, he's not from here. So it wouldn't make sense for him to sign the Accords. He's like, I can just, deuces and go to Asgard. Like what? I'm not going to stop being a hero. Versus, I think Bruce Banner would have definitely signed the Accords because, again, I know he was struggling a lot, especially given the results of Age of Ultron, which again we'll get into. But he was struggling a lot with that internal identity of being Hulk and then being Bruce Banner. And he probably would have wanted to sign the Accord so that way he had control over when the Hulk could come out and when he couldn't. So it could be like, well, if the government doesn't want us to interfere in this, I'm not obligated to turn into the Hulk and maybe cause, more destruction. Like, he might have appreciated maybe more of that restriction because, again, he was scared of being a danger to other people, which I mean is fair. So that's kind of my 2 cents on who I think they would have been on, because they weren't in the movie. But I really liked Civil War. I thought it was a really well put together movie. It was a movie that broke up the Avengers. Okay, this movie was intense. A lot of emotions, a lot of built up to this moment. And you could understand both sides. You can see both of them being conflicted. You could understand why they each chose their own sides. And again, I really loved all the characters that they put in. I thought it was a really great way of blending all the new characters. It depends on how solid and strong the plot is. And given that, again, Civil War was coming out at a time where Marvel already had a lot of really solid characters, a lot of great movies coming up and leading up to that point, I think it was fairly easy for them to introduce these new characters. So I have a soft spot. I love Civil War. It is one of those ones that I rewatched a lot. I really like the intensity, the conflict. It didn't really feel like, I know like the bad guy specifically, he wanted to destroy the Avengers because they were responsible for the damage they did in, Age of Ultron. And he was like kind of like the mastermind behind everything, and like that felt more of like a background plot. I feel like the main plot was really about the Avengers specifically, and again, like the culmination of what was leading up to essentially them breaking up. And I thought it was a really good emotional pinnacle, and also building up to kind of like, okay, what's gonna happen now? The Avengers are breaking up, but there's clearly something coming. Like, they've been building up to this, and you can tell they were planting the seeds of this timeline in the Infinity Saga. And again, like generally speaking, the Infinity Saga was a pretty solid franchise of all the Marvel movies. Again, not every single movie in there was good. Okay, some of them were forgettable. But I'm saying, generally speaking, leading up to introducing the big villain, which we will again get into, I thought they did a really good job with that. And I think Civil War was definitely, again, one of my favorites. Honestly, I would say 9 out of 10 for Civil War. For the first Avenger, introducing Captain America, I'm kind of jumping around, but going back to the first Avengers, I would definitely say that movie, I would give it like a 7 out of 10. Just, again, not really super memorable. I know it was the first movie to really introduce him. It was done during a different time period. I'm not really a big fan of war type of stuff. I find it quite boring, which is probably why I had a difficulty kind of liking the movie. Again, I've watched it a couple times. I think it's a good movie, but again, compared to the other movies like Winter Soldier, one of the best ones as well. Like Winter Soldier, Civil War, like those two were so good. Like, come on. You can't tell me. Like, when he was really in his superhero era versus like the first Avenger was really more about like the introduction and how things were going. Again, it's a good movie, but it didn't really stand out just specifically for me because, again, I don't really like movies about war and stuff. I find them pretty lackluster. And even though he was a superhero in it, it just kind of fell short. So that's why I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Mediocre. All right, so now we are going to talk about the Marvel Avengers Assemble. So the very first time where all the main 6 characters, main 6 superheroes were introduced onto the scene. I honestly say that has to be one of the best superhero movies of all time, and no one can change my mind. Please, you cannot tell me that Avengers Assemble, that scene where all of them together were in a circle and the camera was panning to each of them as they were getting ready, all 6 of them, to fight these aliens that Loki brought to Earth, okay, through that damn wormhole. You cannot tell me that every time that scene comes on, you do not get shivers. Like, every time, I've watched that movie like 70 million times. Every time that scene comes on, I still get that moment. Like it just felt so cinematic, so powerful. There is no other superhero movie that ever made me feel that way. And again, that movie is the reason why I fell in love with Marvel, because it just gives you that sense of like feeling like you just feel so empowered. Like you just walk out of that movie feeling like you can conquer the world, even if that feeling lasts for like 2 days. That's okay. Like you just feel like you are ready to conquer the world, and that movie gives you that feeling. I think again it was really well done, bringing all these characters together, starting to build this team, the Avengers. Like they really set the scene when it comes to superhero movies. I'm sorry, but like who's going to be able to recreate something like that so cinematic and powerful? We were blessed, okay? We were blessed to experience such a beautiful moment of kind of like sci-fi fiction just like hitting its peak, and of course there's been a lot of moments like that, but I don't know, something was very special about that movie. It has a special place in my heart. It is my favorite Marvel movie, so of course I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. That one I can rewatch it again and again. I thought the Hulk was the best in that movie. I loved Black Widow in that movie. I thought Hawkeye was introduced into that movie as well. That I think that was his first appearance, and I thought that he did a really good job. Jeremy Renner, I think, also played a really good job. I know he doesn't get that much credit for it, but you know what? The team is nothing without Hawkeye. We know that because he wasn't in Infinity Wars, and look what happened. They lost. So we know that he was definitely needed, okay? And then we had the favorites. We got Thor, then we had Captain America, we had Iron Man. Like we had the team. And again, I just felt like it was a really solid superhero movie, and I just feel like nobody else has been able to recreate that. And I think Loki did also a really good job being the villain of the movie. I love that scene where Hulk just takes his, flimsy body and just, whips him back and forth. Like that is classic. And then he recreated it with his brother in Thor Ragnarok. Like that was like chef's kiss moment. We love a good homage to, you know, the past. So I feel like it's like the movie, the way that it unfolded, like I feel like everything just flowed smoothly. It just felt like it just made sense. Like the movie, it felt like an actual superhero movie. Like I don't know what it is about superhero movies now. They feel very gimmicky and like forced. It's like it just feels off, or like it just feels inauthentic. But like this one, like it felt like an actual like superhero movie. Like it felt like, yeah, like this is it. Now we are going to talk about Age of Ultron. So I know Age of Ultron, a lot of people didn't initially like it, but honestly I really liked the movie as well. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's because I liked Ultron as the villain. I thought he was like the perfect like evil personification of Tony Stark, kind of this sense of projection of his deepest fears. And again, I like villains that are complex. I like characters that are complex. And because this villain was created by the Avengers themselves, like Tony specifically, I thought it was nice to kind of again see that sense of again like complexity, like you created your own problem. But I definitely loved Age of Ultron. I thought it was a good movie generally speaking. I think they did a good job introducing Vision and then Wanda and then Quicksilver. I was also very sad that they ended, like they killed him off. Like that scene definitely annoyed me because like I feel like he could have served a really good purpose in the cinematic universe, but I guess it didn't work out. But I thought that he would have been a really great character to continue expanding on. But you know me, I love Wanda. She's one of my favorites as well, and I'm very glad they introduced her in that movie. I thought that she did really good for her emergence into the cinematic universe. I know that in the comics they're part of the X-Men. That would have been a great time to reintroduce the X-Men, because you know I love the X-Men movies too. I would say my favorite X-Men movie is a little sidebar. My favorite X-Men movie is definitely Future Day Past. And I did like Apocalypse. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I actually did like it. And it would have been good for them to introduce them as the mutants, but you know, we'll talk about that. That's okay. Anyways, yeah, I did like the X-Men, so I'm aware that in the comics they were part of that. But I think they did a good job introducing them into the movies. I thought Vision was pretty good too. Like he had like a very strong introduction, like showing like, okay, this man, he's the real deal. Now that I think about that what if episode, imagine Ultron and Vision, they actually got fused together. Like that would have been bad. I mean, at least he would have defeated Thanos, but the universe would have been fucked. It's a good thing that it didn't happen. But overall speaking, I think Age of Ultron was a really good movie. Did a good job kind of playing into their fears. And he even, when he was making his speech, he had some good points. I like villains who, when they say their speech, they make good points. And Ultron was kind of those ones who, when he spoke, you nodded, you agreed with some of the things that he said. He said that, humans create the thing they dread. And I agree. I mean, Tony Stark created Ultron. He created what he dreaded. He created out of his worst fear. He was projecting his worst fear, and it turned into Ultron. He had good intentions, of course, but that's not what manifested, because we don't manifest from the conscious. We manifest from the subconscious. And we're going to go down the list. We're going to, I'm saving the best for last. So we are going to go for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, so the Guardians of the Galaxy I also thought were pretty good. I love a little good quirky superhero movie, and I feel like the Guardians of the Galaxies were the only ones that were able to do it well. Again, these different eccentric characters, these, different badasses with their own, it's kind of like, it was like the Thunderbolts before the Thunderbolts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like Thunderbolts, but like Space Edition. And I really liked it, all these different, characters that, have their past and whatever coming together to do some good. And I thought it was, again, a really great blend of superhero and comedy, because, again, sometimes those things don't work. And I think that, again, because they had a solid plot and they had really good characters, I think they were able to really do well carrying the movies. And that's the first one, the second one, and the third one. I think all three were done equally well. I would give them an 8 out of 10, just because they're not my favorite Marvel movies, generally speaking, but I have definitely watched them a couple of times each, and I find them all equally funny. I think they're all equally good. I watched all of them in theaters, and I really enjoyed the experience. I think that, again, all three of them are pretty good, solid movies. I think, again, it's really hard to do like solid franchise and solid trilogies, especially when it comes to superhero movies, because there's so many details and so many plots and so many timelines merging, and you have to be aware of the details and how they affect the other movies that are part of it. And I feel like, again, the three movies were really done well. I would say my favorite is the second one, where they go meet Star-Lord's father. I thought that was my favorite one, just because I like superhero movies or movies done on other planets, and I liked the visuals, again, the plot. So I really liked that sense of like exploration and him finding out about his father and coming to terms with a lot of facts about his identity. That's when him and Gamora fell in love. That's when Gamora and Nebula's relationship changed as well. So there was a lot of solidified moments coming in. They were really getting established into being the Guardians of the Galaxy. Mantis was introduced as well. So again, that's why that one is my favorite. But overall, generally speaking, the Guardians of the Galaxy, all three movies of them were pretty well done. All three of them. Now we are going to talk about Ant-Man. Now, I know Ant-Man is not one of the popular ones of the franchise. I understand why he had a standalone movie, but honestly, I don't really have any opinions, because that is the movie that I watched once and I did not rewatch it again because it was boring, okay? I know that opinion is not original, okay? A lot of people probably feel the same way. I think his character, when he's with other superheroes, I think it works, but standalone, I don't think he's a strong enough superhero character, at least the way the movie was made, for him to have a standalone movie. I think he could have been like maybe more of something mentioned or kind of like adjacent to. I just don't think that It was a strong movie. Again, compared to its other counterparts in the Infinity Saga, it just falls short. It's forgettable. Like, nobody really thinks about Ant-Man and says, oh, yeah, that's one of my favorite superhero movies. Like, no shade. It just doesn't hit. It's forgettable. And that's for all of the Ant-Man movies. The first one, the second one, and the third one. The third one was the worst, okay? But we're gonna slowly get into it, so I don't want to skip ahead, but I'm just gonna speak specifically about the first one. The first one specifically, Ant-Man, it was not it, babes. I would give that one like a 5 out of 10. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. It was kind of forgettable. I don't remember much of it. The plot was boring. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about it. I mean, I have nothing against Paul Rudd. I think he's a great actor, but I just felt like the movie was boring. Next, we have Doctor Strange. I kind of feel the same way about Doctor Strange as I feel about Ant-Man. I think the movies, again, were not bad. I think the first Doctor Strange was pretty well. I would give that one a 7 out of 10. I think it was a pretty good movie as to introduce him into the movies, introduce him as a character who is going to play a role further down the line. The first movie, as by itself, it felt more of just like a filler movie. I don't think it needed in a second movie, in my opinion. I think that it's kind of like one of those characters where it's like after Endgame, you don't need it anymore, kind of thing. Like, same thing with like Ant-Man. Like, you could have just left after Endgame, but I don't know. The first movie, again, kind of like Ant-Man, doesn't really stand out. I'm giving it higher just because I prefer the visuals and the plot of Doctor Strange. And again, I just thought the movie was a little bit forgettable. It didn't really stand out. Again, when you compare it to the other movies that it's placed upon, it kind of just, it falls short. It falls short compared to the other ones. Then we have Spider-Man Homecoming, okay? So Spider-Man Homecoming was the introduction of Tom Holland playing Spider-Man. Again, I think that he did a girl. I actually like all of the actors that have played Spider-Man. Like, my favorite one was Andrew Garfield. But I really do like him as it. Again, I was never like really a big Spider-Man fan, so to me the movies are always going to feel a little bit lackluster compared to other superhero movies. But again, it's like a good, feel good superhero movie. Again, a great introduction to him stepping into that role, and then also him, being going to be part of the Avengers soon. I really liked them showing the images of him building a relationship with Tony Stark and with Happy, and really him starting to participate in that superhero lifestyle. So I really did like that about the movie, and him really starting to again be part of the Avengers, and I liked that part of the movie, so that definitely kind of solidified him as a character. But again, compared to the other movies that I like to watch, and it's not in my top 5. I don't think it's even in my top 10. But generally speaking, it's a pretty good movie. So again, giving it a 6 out of 10. 6.5, 7 out of 10. I'm going to stick with that one. Final rating. So now we are going on to Black Panther. Okay, Black Panther is one of the best Marvel movies. I don't want to hear anything about it. 10 out of 10. And that's not just me being biased, because I love Chadwick Boseman. Rest in peace. I mean, he was literally the perfect Black Panther. His intro in Civil War was perfection. Like him, like his shadow showing on the rooftop. I'm gonna even see if I can put the scene or something. His intro to Civil War was cunty and fierce, but like hot and like manly at the same time. Like, not a lot of people can do that. Like, I can't think of another man that can pull off like a panther type, where like you have that feline aspect, that flexibility, agility, stealthiness, but then also that masculinity. Like, and I just feel like Black Panther was literally the embodiment. There was Michael B. Jordan. Like, come on. We had Lupita. We had all of the amazing actors. Okay, that movie was so cinematic. The soundtrack was the best. It was And I think it's the only Marvel movie that got an Oscar, wasn't it? Black Panther was also a very significant movie at the time, especially for the Black community. So that movie definitely has a special place in my heart. It was such a beautiful movie, and I loved that time period. Like everyone was just so celebratory of it. You know, the Wakanda Forever. I thought it was just one of those iconic superhero movies. Like I had to go see it in theater. Like what else am I gonna go see in theater? You know, that definitely movie was one of my favorites for sure. One of the best Marvel movies, absolutely. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. I don't fucking care. They will never be able to recreate another Black Panther like that. Like that was iconic. Okay, and now we've got Infinity Wars. Ooh, Infinity Wars. Probably out of all the Avengers movie, like obviously the first Avengers movie was perfection, but Infinity Wars I think was the best superhero movie generally speaking from the entire Infinity Saga. I mean, the introduction to Thanos. Like, let's talk about the first scene where he comes in. Okay, we're coming in hot. He comes in. He already has one stone. They didn't even show us that how he destroyed Xandar. Okay, we didn't even know how he got it. We just know he pulls up and he's already got one stone, and we're like, okay, this is already off to a really bad start. Okay, and then the two strongest Avengers, Thor and Hulk, get their ass whooped within like 10 minutes of the movie. And that's when you know, okay, shit's about to hit the fan. The beginning of it was so intense. Like, I remember like sitting in theater. Like, I went to go watch it in theater. And I remember just sitting. And I remember when it started, it felt so tense. And it was like, I would love to go back to that moment of rewatching Infinity Wars for the first time. Like, the shock of the movie, like everything that was transpiring, you're like, what? It felt like an experience. It felt like I transported to a whole new world. I felt like I was in the movie. I loved it. I thought it was, again, really well put together. Anthony Russo, Joe Russo, thank you for creating one of the best superhero movies of all time, in my opinion. Like, Infinity Wars was done really well, bringing so many different characters together that have been spread apart and have had their own movies and coming together for this big bad villain named Thanos. Okay. And Thanos, in my opinion, also one of the greatest villains that have shown up on the screen, in my opinion. I think that they really did a good job introducing him in the very beginning and really building up like this is like the big bad wolf. And the fact that he won. And rewatching the movie, you could definitely see why the Avengers lost. I mean, again, going back to the two strongest Avengers losing a fight, okay, Thor getting his ass beat, you don't have your hammer, you got your hair cut, you look different, and now all of a sudden you don't know how to fight. And then Hulk is gone for 2 years, and you know, you think, oh, we're gonna see an amazing scene. Okay, Hulk smash. No, he gets a few couple punches, and then Thanos basically puts him to sleep. Like just quick work, like just a 1-2 bop, you're done. I was like, this is not going well. This is not going well. And now we're stepping into the part where we're watching Thanos' journey of him basically collecting all the stones. Within the first scene, he already had 2 stones. I'm like, they were doomed from the start. And then everything just transpiring, everything started unfolding. Okay, they were all separated. Tony and Steve never spoke during the entire movie. They were about to, but they never did. Okay, and then we had to go to New York. And then not Thor, Hulk had the opportunity to redeem himself, but no, he didn't want to do it. That scene pissed me off. I wanted so badly to see him redeem himself, and when he did it, and that whole fight in the park with Spider-Man, and you know, Hulk didn't want to come out. That scene pissed me off. I'm like, what are you doing here? Go home. You don't want to come. You don't want to fight. You don't want to suit up. Go home. Go home. And he ended up finding the rest of the team. But guess what? Hawkeye isn't there. How do you guys think you guys were going to win without Hawkeye? And it's funny because I remember watching the trailer and they put some fake scenes in there. They put the Hulk. I thought he was going to show up as well. Did not. Hawkeye was also in the trailer in the scene where they were running, because I remember that fake scene. I was so pissed because I was like, where's Hulk? Where is he? We did not ask for him to be in a Hulkbuster. No, we want the green, deadly monster that looks like he can rip people's arms apart. Like, that pissed me off about the movie. Yeah, it was just basically showing the journey, like all of them coming together, coming back together. Okay, the Avengers showing their faces, showing themselves back to the world. That fight scene, let's talk about that fight scene where Captain America gets revealed. He's got a beard and he catches the sword. Like, tell me that is not the hottest thing that you've ever seen. Like, that was so sexy when he did that. And then they had that fight scene with the two aliens, and then Black Widow comes in and she pulls up in the Sri Lanka with her blonde hair. And then we got Anthony Mackie with the wings, okay? And he's coming in and he hits them. And it's like, it felt like a real, like, that was probably one of my favorite fight scenes in the movie. Like it felt like real true Avengers shit. I was like, yes, this is what we're talking about. This is what we want to see. The choreography. I'm like, yes, this is what we want to see. We want to see y'all working together to beat the aliens. This is what y'all do. And I just loved it. But I really like that scene because, again, it was a perfect way to re-bring these characters back after they all went their separate ways due to Civil War. And I loved it. I just feel like every scene was so intense, especially every scene where Thanos was in. It just felt intense. The scene where he confronts the Guardians of the Galaxy for the first time, the scene where he goes to Vormir, the scene where he goes on Titan. That scene on Titan was probably one of my favorite fight scenes in the movie, where he finally faces Tony Stark. Like, that was the shit. Let's not also forget when he had the glove and they almost had it off, and then stupid Star-Lord had to get in his feelings. He couldn't wait. I love a good space fighting scene on a different planet. The CGI was really well done, in my opinion. I really liked the visuals. I thought it was really well done. And then also the last fight scene, this fight scene in Wakanda, also amazing. I mean, Thor's entrance, iconic. Like, you cannot tell me. Even Thanos' entrance was also iconic. Like, as soon as he stepped foot to get that last stone, you knew, oh shit, it's going down for real. Like, it's going down for real. The only thing that aggravated me about Infinity Wars was Vision. I'm like, this is what you were meant to do, right? Like, you're supposed to be fighting these aliens. Like, you're supposed to be in the tip-top shape. You have an advantage that none of us do. You have that stone in your head. And the entire time that he was in there, it was focused on, like, keeping him safe and keeping him in a bubble. And if you guys were going to go to Wakanda, y'all should have focused your resources on, like, patching him up and even making him stronger. So that way, at least you have one person on your side that, has the stone and can actually at least try to defeat Thanos, even if they were going to lose ultimately. Because, I mean, he had all the stones except for that last one. But at least it's like, okay, you got the stone, then maybe you would have had Thor, and then maybe you would have had Wanda. Like, maybe there would have been a fighting chance. But no, everything was like, everyone was kind of playing hero on their own. And yeah, and then Thor, he didn't go for the head. And then everything got fucked up. And I don't know. I think that, like, really, like, sitting in that theater and realizing, like, oh wow, like, they lost, and when he snapped his fingers, I think that was the best moment, because you realize, oh shit, what are they gonna do? It was cinematically perfect watching it. I would love to rewatch Infinity Wars for the first time again and re-experience that. Then we have Ant-Man and the Wasp. Unfortunately, this movie came out after a big hype of Infinity War, so unfortunately it didn't get the attention that it got. I actually thought that this movie was better than the first Ant-Man, so I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10, but I don't think that it was going to get all of the... I think, again, it kind of pales in comparison because it came out after Infinity Wars, and it just kind of, again, not really memorable. Then we've got Captain Marvel, which again was an introduction to this big superhero that was going to help them defeat Thanos. I know a lot of people didn't like the movie. I actually did like the Captain Marvel movie. Again, it's not one of my favorite movies, but I liked Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. I think that she was a great character to add to the franchise, especially given the fact that in Endgame, like, if it wasn't for her, y'all would have lost. I felt like she was kind of one of those characters that was needed to be again introduced for the sake of closing out the saga. And then again, like, there's so many characters that I feel were introduced for the point of the saga, and then once the saga is over, it's kind of like, okay, how do you make them stand on their own? Because again, the first Captain Marvel movie that came out before Endgame was necessary to introduce us to this character because of the credit end scenes and, Nick Fury, dialing and calling her up and being like, yo, we need your help, and having her come into the storyline. It makes sense, and that's why I like the movie, because we needed to kind of know, like, who is this character and why is she so important as part of the end game. Like, why does she have an important role to play in this? Generally speaking, I did like the movie, but it wasn't my favorite, so I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I've watched it a couple times, and it had some good moments, it had some good plot points, but again, a little bit forgettable compared to its counterparts. And then we've got Endgame to end off the Infinity Saga. Okay, so we are ending off the Infinity Saga with Endgame. I thought Endgame was a really good movie as a point of ending the movie. I think bringing all of these superheroes together one last time to fight Thanos, I thought was really cinematic. I went to go watch that movie in theaters 3 times. There were so many people that wanted to go watch it, and I'm like, I'm here for it. And I got to see different things unfold in front of my eyes every single time, but it was really well done. I thought it was a really great movie to end it off the series. I like Infinity Wars more than Endgame, but I thought Endgame was a really good movie to end everything off. I did get very emotional at Tony Stark's death. That was hard. Black Widow's death was also hard. Like, that movie was hard to watch because you're watching your favorite heroes that you've seen on screen for such a long time. Like, it was hard. I cried. I did. I got emotional. It definitely was a tearjerker. I'd probably say, yeah, that was definitely the most emotional moment. Another moment that I thought was very beautiful was that moment where, again, all of them were getting ready to assemble and they were running towards getting ready to fight the army. Like, that moment was like, oh, like, this is the culmination. Like, this is the moment we've been all waiting for. Like, good versus evil. Like, let's go. Like, it was amazing. And I definitely rewatched it so many times. Love that movie. One of my favorite comfort movies. So Endgame definitely gets a 9 out of 10 for being a mess. And we are now